These are going to be spud beds with a difference. So I don't think you'll have seen potatoes planted this way before. Hello. In the last video I prepared these two beds. So in this video I'm going to be planting potatoes in these two beds. I'm going to be planting salad potatoes in this bed and normal flowery potatoes in this bed. I'd left the potatoes in the shed and we've had a bit of a frost, and you can probably see better on that one, you can see the colour change. So it's got a touch of frost, but it should be alright. These should be alright, I mean, hopefully they'll be alright. Okay, I've put the two ends for the raised bed, one at this end and one at the other end. It's just a pallet that I cut in half. It's the same width as the beds, and I cut it in half, well, roughly in half, because I had those big pieces in the middle, so I didn't cut through those. I just cut around it and just put some bits of aluminium just to hold it in place, and it's fairly steady. I mean, once I tie the sides in, this will be firm, so not worried about that. Once the sides are in and it's filled, and I'll probably put another stake in there somewhere, put a couple of good metal stakes in there, that'll hold it steady. And it's the same at that end. The only difference being this end doesn't have a big lump at the end. And the raspberries are getting in the act again, but it's their final year. If they don't shape up, they're out. So that's done. The next step is to put in some amendments. I'm putting in some fish blood and bone and some of the commercial fertilizer that I've got left over. So we start with the fish blood and bone, and then the commercial fertilizer. I'm not adding pelted chicken manure, which I would normally add, because I'm putting this stuff in. I'm also adding a touch of this kelp powder, or seaweed powder, just to mineralise the soil a little bit. Don't need a huge amount of it, just a little bit sprinkled around. And the wind is doing a wonderful job of spreading it. If I spread it here, it goes over to the other side. Right, that's the bed well mineralised and fertilised. Time to put the spuds in. I'm not going to muck about raking it in or anything. It'll sort itself out, it always does. I'm not too worried about it. Unfortunately, it's sunny, but raindrops are falling on my head. I think there's a song about that. So I might have to cut it short today, we'll see. Right. In this bed, it's going to be salad potato Nicola, and I can get 3 rows in. I've got to rub out some of the chits where necessary. So if we got 1, that means 2, and 3, and then they need to go in 45 centimetres from each one. Gloves. I'll do that and bring you back. Right, I've put them in, and what I've done, I've just put a little dimple and put the potato head. So the root end is down, the chits are up, so they're the right way up. Now this is where it gets different to the norm. I'm going to put a little bit of compost on each one, and then it's going to be covered by this stuff, which is clippings, which is mostly leaves, some wood chips. And instead of being earthed up with soil, it will get earthed up with this material. So all it gets is a light covering of compost. Oops, some rubbish in the compost, but that doesn't matter. And then I will put the clippings and leaves and chippings on top. More bad news, I'm afraid. I had to leave yesterday and I didn't get to finish this bed, and I didn't completely cover everything and didn't build the sides. And when I came in this morning, something has been in and it's unearthed the potatoes. Left the hole where that one was. Some it's sort of unearthed but not bothered with. That one has obviously had a bit of a chew on it. So little stinkers. That one just dug it up and threw it away. And when it's done, it's damaged the chits, but should be alright. See that one, you can just see clearly the hole where it was. This one is interesting. It's taken the potato and left me the chit. Ah, little stinkers. And this edge, yeah, oh that one survived. I think a few have survived, and I've got a few. I chitted all the seed potatoes, and these were really the smallest ones. Obviously you couldn't eat them, so I thought, well, might as well just check them just in case, and that was right. But some of them are small, so I don't know if they'll do much. But I'll replace the ones that are definitely gone, and I'll get to these canes in a minute. In fact, if I hadn't done that, I could have built the sides. But I had to go, I ran out of time, so I took a chance, and the little buggers took advantage. You can't take your eye off the ball for 1 minute. So that's more potatoes I've lost. Lost all my second earlies that were in the shed, in the greenhouse, and now I've lost these. Now these canes are there for a reason. This is going to be mostly wood chips and leaves and things. So when I water, I don't want the water to just soak into the wood chips and leaves. So I want it to go all the way down. And my original plan was where we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 potatoes. In the middle of them, there would be a cane and a pipe, and then I could pour water and liquid feed down in and feed and fertilise all those 4 potatoes. I was thinking of using pipes like this to do that, but then somebody brought a load of these that they had tried to build a greenhouse with these. So they're just a load of bottles with the ends cut, and then they've put something through the top ones so that just to hold it in place, but I can take that off. So basically I've got bottles like that. Probably doesn't need to be that size, that. I'll leave this one because the foliage is only going to come up to about there, but I'll leave that one. So basically this slides on. So this slides on, and obviously an eye protector at the top. So when I want to water and feed it, it goes in through that hole, comes there and run down into the soil and feed all those 4 plants, and do the same with all the others. But first I'll replace some of these potatoes. Well, I'll replace some of them because I haven't got that many spares, but we'll get something out of this bed. They've left me a few, and with a few spares I'll not get a bumper crop, but I'll get enough. I'm only cooking for me this year, so what this bed produces will be plenty. I won't be able to give away much, but well, the rats have had it. Right, I've put the potatoes to replace the ones that the rats have taken. I didn't have enough to replace all the ones they've taken, so there'll be a few less, but I'll have to live with that. So I'm going to cover them with some more compost. And just out of interest, this lovely black stuff was the straw and all the hundreds of thistle plants that I pulled up whilst I was clearing the raspberry batch back here in 2019, and the massive composter was there, and I layered stable sweepings. Well, it was mostly straw, a little bit of manure in it, but it was mostly straw, and all the thistles and things. Now a few have come back and there's a few little bits of root in there, but the rest of it is absolutely lovely, gorgeous compost. I mean, you'd pay top dollars for this, and it's just sat there for 2 years. Now the price is, obviously you do get some weed seeds in it, but all I did was keep the stuff there and leave it for 2 years. If I'd sort of covered it with something like weed fabric, it would have done better, because obviously weed seeds wouldn't have been able to get in, but I didn't do that. I think the next time, if I do anything like that, I will do that. But yeah, this is lovely compost. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. You do get a few little bits of roots as weeds have gone in over the last 2 years, but that is not a problem. Right, so I shall cover those up, and I will sort these things up, and then I can put the sides on, and I'll bring you back when I've done that. Well, the first potato bed is finished. I put some weed fabric. It's stuff that I rescued. It was just sort of, when I was digging, this whole piece of it came up. Some, like this, is the plastic stuff, some is this other fabric stuff. It's no good as weed fabric, but it will do at the ends to obviously stop the soil coming out and to keep the light away from the potatoes. And I've used those plastic panels, advertising boards, for the sides. So I've tied them in at the ends, both at the top and bottom, and it's pretty easy to see from this side. Now they overlap, and where the ends are, I've put them in, tied them in to these pieces of aluminium. It's from an old greenhouse that was no use anymore. And the same at this end of that piece, and then it goes through both pieces. So it's going through that piece of the back, and then going through a hole, going through that piece, and then it gets tied back. Now I will kind of put a stronger tie in later, but I haven't got my wire cutters in today, so I can't do that today, but that will hold it for now. And same arrangement with the weed fabric at this end. Now the bottom is not tied in, but that doesn't matter, because once I start filling it in with the clippings, it's going to hold that in place, so that's not a worry. And I've just put in a few small bamboo canes just to hold it in place. Really shouldn't really need it, but just in case I put a few in. So the last job is to cover it with some of this clippings. So that's handy. It's right next door. You might have thought I'd planned it. Now, this seems like a lot of trouble to go to, just to plant some potatoes, but it will make sense when I do the rotation next year, because next year there will be pumpkins going straight in there on top of all this mulch. So this stuff will disappear over the next 2 years and become compost, and the year after that this compost will be all mixed in with the soil, and I can plant anything I want to. It will have suppressed the weeds, and then I won't have to do so much work actually weeding and bringing in compost, because the compost for this bed will already be made, and that is the plan, to do that with all the beds when I do the rotation. So by the end of the 5-year rotation, all of these beds will have a good thick layer of compost that's been made here. So I haven't brought anything in, I haven't brought any disease in, I haven't brought in any pesticides or herbicide. I don't know if you can hear me over the sound of the wind and this thing rattling, but I'll do a voiceover if it doesn't work. I have just found my potatoes, because little bugger took them out of there and hid them over here. Now he's had a nibble on a couple of them. Little bugger. So there's some stuff here, so it's obviously decided, oh, this is a nice place to hide stuff. Unfortunately, I have finished this bed. So what I'm going to do is take these potatoes and put them in a bag in the shed, hang them up somewhere. I think I might leave them a couple of the really badly chewed up ones. Don't want those. The other ones are alright. A little blighter. And grow these in tubs tomorrow. Look at this. Unbelievable. Most of them are untouched. So I'll leave them these for. I think he's eaten the chits off that one. That one has got a chit on it, but I think I'll leave him those. Then he won't go after those. If he's got something to eat, my gut feeling is he'll not go after those. Little bugger. Because these things were over here, weren't they? So got a nice little nest. Little stinker. So what I might do, we know we might get a reduced yield from this bed anyway, because I put in those small little runts and I don't think I replaced everything. So looking at how much he's taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 out of, oh bloody hell. Yeah, he's taken quite a lot. So what I might do is replant some of these and see what happens. A little stinker. But he's obviously a very lazy rat because it didn't take him very far. I wonder if I move this, will I see some rats dart out? Let's see what happens. Nope. Nope. So they weren't nesting under there. What are little blighters. I was going to mulch this bed with that stuff, but then I realised we haven't got any more stuff like this, so I used the stuff I composted last year. I mean, this stuff, it looks composted, but that's what this looked like this last year. Right, the second bed is done. It's basically the same as this bed, the only difference being that I ran out of pieces of this height, so I had to use taller pieces on this edge. But this is the side that is on the it's on the west side of this bed, so it won't cast any shadow on this bed. It'll cast shadow on the path, so that doesn't really matter. It does cast a bit of a shadow later in the afternoon, but it's a potato. I think it'll live with it. Right, that's another job done and out of the way. The potatoes are up, but so are the weeds. But once I know where the potatoes are, I can deal with the weeds, and of course we'll be earthing it up, so these will get covered. Yep. At least I'll get some potatoes. Right, the potatoes are up. You can see potatoes are up. Unfortunately, the weeds are coming up as well. But we have a way of dealing with that. Now that we know where the potatoes are, so we've got a potato there. We've got some thistles coming out there. Right. So what I'm going to do is, having pulled it out, I'll cover that bit with more mulch. So as they come up, I pull them out and mulch that area, so it just really slows them down. And well, it's not done a bad job so far, but thistles and dandelions will come through. But you know, it's only a second to pull out a thistle and cover it with mulch, then it's got a harder time coming back up.